Yo, what is going on, everybody? Today we are diving into the high-stakes world of Midnight Suns issue number 3. The world is on the brink of an apocalypse centered on the young witch Zoe Laveau, and the team meant to stop it is falling apart. While Clea, the Sorceress Supreme, has taken the extreme route by banishing half the team to another dimension, Agatha Harkness and Zoe are running out of places to hide. From the haunted history of the 15th century Transia to the suffocating shadows of the Laveau family crypt, the past is catching up to the present, and it's bringing a dark, mystical entity named Valtor with it. Here's your quick recap for everybody just joining us. Zoe Laveau is the living epicenter of a magical apocalypse prophecy. Agatha scooped her out of Strange Academy, and they're on the run. The Midnight Suns, Wolverine, Magic, Blade, Kushala, the Spirit Rider, and Nico Minoru just banished to another dimension by Clea, the Sorcerer Supreme, who decided the safest place was removing them from the board entirely. Last issue ended with the team stranded in a landscape that looked like a fever dream, and Magic's portal's power completely locked out. That's where we left off. Issue number 3 picks it all back up. Let's get into it. Now every issue of Midnight Suns has been opening with a flashback to 1428, and at this point those scenes are doing some heavy lifting, because we're not just getting backstory, we're getting the origin of the entire crisis. And this issue finally shows us what actually went down inside that keep when everything fell apart. Last time we saw Agatha watching in horror as Corinna got consumed by the ritual. This time, we see what Agatha actually did about it. Outside the keep, the mob that came to burn the witches, they ain't burning anything anymore. The shadow creatures summoned by the ritual have turned on them. People are screaming. Someone cries out to the heavens for salvation, and one of Valtor's creatures leans in and hisses, "Valtor is your god now. He hears your prayers, and grants you release from all suffering." Inside the keep, Agatha has seen enough. She's watching Corinna trapped behind what they're calling the Black Mirror, a mystical conduit straight to Valtor's realm, and she snaps. We have to end this. Jacquette Laveau, Zoe's ancestor, the one who started all of this, stays ice cold. To her, Corinna's life is the cost of doing business, a necessary sacrifice to cleanse the world of people unworthy of magic. Agatha is fed up. She blasts Jacquette across the room with a surge of arcane power. Now here's the thing, and this is the key detail. When Agatha destroyed the ritual, she severs the conduit. The Black Mirror shatters. Valtor's direct link to this world gets cut. But Corinna doesn't come back with it. She's already lost, gone to the void. She's left stuck in Valtor's realm. And Jacquette, laying on the floor, spits a curse at Agatha, that she's doomed them to centuries of persecution because of her weak-minded compassion. Agatha can only whisper in denial. She tried to save someone. She failed. And in trying, she also gave Valtor's realm its scar, a wound in reality that's been festering ever since. This is why Agatha has been carrying 600 years of guilt. She didn't create Valtor's foothold, but she also didn't fully close the door. And now it's cracking open again. Now keep that Black Mirror in mind, because it's going to become very important by the end of this issue. Flash to the present. New Orleans. The Laveau family crypt. Agatha has brought Zoe here, which, not gonna lie, is a sketchy call even by Agatha's standards. They are steps from Strange Academy. People are hunting them, and she's decided to set up shop in a family crypt full of ancestral magic. But there's a reason. The Black Mirror has ties to this place. This is where Jacquette's legacy lives. Zoe is uncomfortable, like deeply, visibly uncomfortable. The shadows of her ancestors are pressing in on her, and she's already got enough on her plate being the potential trigger of an apocalypse without adding standing in a haunted crypt to the mix. She asks Agatha to destroy the mirror and get them out of there. Agatha starts to respond, starts to explain something about the Laveau women and how they're never truly gone, even in death. And then a spectral figure erupts from the darkness, the ghost of Marie Laveau, one of the most legendary names in the entire history of New Orleans voodoo. Her spirit is flickering with a sickly pale light, screaming at them, "How could you do this to your own blood, bringing our enemy into this sacred place?" Zoe recoils. She's scared. She's apologizing. She's trying to explain herself to a ghost who isn't in the mood to hear it. Agatha doesn't hesitate. She blasts Marie with a bolt of violet energy and commands her to back off. "We came for the Black Mirror," and Marie laughs, that haunting hollow laugh that tells you she knows something you don't. She surges forward and wraps her special grip around Agatha's throat. But here's where Zoe steps up. Last issue, Zoe was scared. Last issue, she was eating beignets in a ruin and reluctantly agreeing to help. But something shifted when she said, "I'm in." And this issue, when her mentor is being choked out by an ancestral ghost, Zoe doesn't freeze. She stands up, grabs one of her ancestor's staffs, and she blasts her own ancestor with it. "Destroying the world will not be our legacy. I am more than my last name, and I won't let this happen," she says. That's not a scared kid anymore. That's someone who has made a choice about who she is. The Laveau name has been associated with dark magic, with sacrifice, with Voltor's original foothold in the world, and Zoe is planting a flag and saying, "No, not on my watch, not with my name." It's a huge character moment, and the book earns it because we've watched her wrestle with it for 2 full issues. Meanwhile, on the other side of reality, the Midnight Suns are still stranded in the dark dimension. Wolverine is already over it. "We shouldn't even be here. I definitely shouldn't be here." Kushala lays it out plainly. Clea got exactly what she wanted. They're sidelined, occupied, locked in a corner of the dark dimension while the prophecy ticks towards zero. Magic's still got her armor, still got her soul sword, but her portals are completely jammed. Clea's banishment spell is basically a dimensional cage with no visible keyhole. Blade, ever the pragmatist, spots a massive burning tower piercing the smoggy sky in the distance. Says there's usually a way out of places like this through structures like that. Nico asks how he could possibly know that. He grins. "I've raised a cursed tower or 2 in my time, though I have to admit, that one looks particularly vampy." And before anyone can debate whether vampy is a good or bad sign coming from the half vampire hunter, the sky goes dark. Giant leathery wings. A swarm of monstrous bat creatures descend like a living storm. Magic tries the portals again. Still locked. So Kushala does what Kushala does. She lunges at the nearest bat monster, channels the spirit of vengeance, which, she notes, has a different pull in this dimension, which is actually an advantage, and she tames the creature with hellfire. Not just tames it, transforms it. The thing becomes a roaring skeletal dragon bat, wreathed in flame. "Now this is the only way to travel," Magic yells, already climbing on. Nico is clinging on for dear life and muttering that walking is starting to look better and better. It's one of those moments where the comic book is just having fun, you know? It's a wild, kinetic image. 5 heroes riding a hellfire dragon bat through the dark dimension, and it earns the levity because the stakes are genuinely brutal everywhere else. But the fun doesn't last. Enchanted arrows come screaming off the tower battlements. One clips the bat's wings, and the whole thing goes into a tailspin. They slam into a darkened balcony in the flaming tower. Nico, pushing herself up from the stone floor, says, "Not exactly a 5-star landing, but I suppose it could be worse." And the universe immediately takes that as a challenge. A clawed hand clamps over Nico's mouth and drags her into the shadows before she can finish her sentence. Welcome to the Children of Muruk. Their leader, a massive draconian monster named Kolvar, is straight up terrifying. Ancient malice in his eyes, decay on his breath, and an attitude like someone's been the biggest predator in the room for so long he's forgotten other options exist. He gives the team the full villain monologue. The tower belongs to the Children of Muruk. They've been holding a captive, the wizard, who sustains them, powers their war against Clea, who apparently has beef with a lot of entities in her own dark dimension. And as for the Midnight Suns, you will serve us too, as a snack. Nico is pinned against a wall. She manages to pull off a quick spell by the raging sands of Azkaban, and a swirl of mystic sand erupts into Kolvar's face, blinding him, but he's not letting go. Here's where Blade gets his moment. He steps out of the shadows, and he clocks something Kolvar didn't think about. Let me get this straight, Kolvar. You're a bunch of vampires, dumb enough to live in a tower full of wooden furniture. Kolvar spins around and starts reciting his whole lineage. I am the scion of the Splintered Realms, hired to the Guron the Great. Blade doesn't wait for him to finish. He stakes Kolvar through the heart. Kolvar turns to ash. You forgot last of his line. And that delivery, that is Blade operating at peak Blade. No speeches, no back and forth, just clean, efficient, lethal, and incredibly quotable. And then the rest of Kolvar's crew drops from the rafters. Blade starts with the holy water. Anytime the rest of you want to jump in, feel free. Wolverine says, don't mind if I do. Finally, something I could stab. Magic, soul sword humming, at least my sword still works here. And Kashula, she lets the vampires get close, lets them think she's unarmed, and then detonates a localized supernova of hellfire, incinerating the entire mob in a whirlwind of righteous flame. Blade watches the carnage. Damn. Magic says, more like damned. After the brawl, Nico is sitting on a high balcony, legs dangling over the abyss of the dark dimension, just staring. And Magic, who has been through limbo and back to limbo again, sits down next to her. Quiet, no agenda. You alright? And Nico opens up. Without the staff of one, she doesn't know who she is. She's been relying on the version of herself that had power, and now she's just figuring it out as she goes. She doesn't understand why she was in the vision. She feels useless. Magic doesn't dismiss it, but she also doesn't let it slide. Then why did you jump into the fight at the academy? No one would have judged you if you stayed back. I would have judged me, Nico whispers. Seeing Zoe Laveau in that dream, seeing everyone assume she was evil just because of her bloodline, I know what it's like to be judged by a name. And that's the connective tissue between Nico and Zoe. Both of them carry names with weight. The Minoru family, Nico's parents were runaways villains, members of the Pride. The Laveau name is tied to dark magic going back 600 years. These two characters are parallels, and this moment makes it explicit. Magic's response hits different because of who she is. This is a woman who spent her entire childhood trapped in limbo, who was forged in a dimension of pure evil, who carries a sword made from her own soul. And she looks at Nico and says, staff or no staff, you're still the most magical person I know. Not the most powerful, the most magical. There's a difference, and from Illyana Rasputin, that means everything. Back in the tower, the rest of the team is standing in front of a massive, magically sealed door. Kushala tries to blast it open with her flaming chains. The shockwave knocks her down. Heavy magical protections keep the door shut. Logan looks at it, tilts his head, jams one adamantium claw into the keyhole. Twists. The door clicks open. Sometimes the old ways are best, he says, and sometimes the old ways are just a guy from Canada and some indestructible metal claws. And then Logan stops dead. Because chained to the wall, inside, arms suspended above his head, is a man wearing the ornate flowing robes of a Sorcerer Supreme. A man who looks exactly like Tony Stark. Now keep in mind, this is the Dark Dimension. Clea rules this place, and ever since Stephen Strange died, the mantle of Sorcerer Supreme has been in flux across the multiverse. This isn't their Tony Stark. This is a Tony Stark from a fractured alternate reality. One where apparently someone looked at the genius billionaire playboy philanthropist and said, you know what this guy needs? Magic. And somehow it works. Because when Blade cuts through his shackles and this half-dead, beaten Tony Stark stumbles into Kushida's arm, the first words out of his mouth are, well, not your Stark, but a Tony Stark. And really, who else looks this good half-dead and chained to a wall? And Blade, who has seen everything, just sighs and goes, I prefer a Strange to a Stark right now. No offense. Tony takes it in stride. None taken. But if there's one thing all Starks are good at, it's fixing things. Assuming, of course, there's something left to fix. And then he turns serious, because he's been in that cell long enough to catch the vision. He's seen the apocalypse. He knows what's coming, and he's already working on a solution. Okay, deep breath, because this is where the issue goes from great to genuinely unsettling. Back in the Laveau crypt, after Zoe and Agatha handle Marie's ghost, the dust settles. Agatha pulls Zoe into a hug, which, coming from this woman, is already slightly alarming because Agatha Harkness does not do unsolicited hugs. She tells Zoe everything will be alright. Zoe pulls back and starts asking the practical questions. How do they stop the vision? Do they shatter the black mirror? And Agatha just freezes. Her expression goes blank. Her voice drops into this hollow, rhythmic cadence that sounds like words being played back from somewhere far away. I will make everything all right. Everything will be as it is meant to be. And her eyes go white, completely white. No iris, no pupils, just two blank, sightless orbs. The black mirror is right there, and in the glass, a dark entity is moving in perfect sync with Agatha's body, like a reflection that learned to drive. It speaks through Agatha's stolen throat, a creature called Corrosion, and it's addressing Voltor directly, informing its master that their plans are proceeding perfectly, that the age of Corrosion is coming, that Voltor gets to watch it all unfold from the mirror, with pride. Zoe sees the shift and tells Agatha to destroy the mirror. The entity turns to Agatha's blind eyes toward her and smiles. Oh, child, there's been a slight change in plans. And that's where the crypt scene ends. Let's talk about what just happened here, because it's huge. This whole time, we've been operating under the assumption that Agatha is the wise, grumpy mentor, guiding Zoe towards stopping the apocalypse. And she has been, genuinely. Everything she told Zoe about Voltor, about the cost of magic, about Corinna, about her own guilt, all of that was real. But the Black Mirror has been there the whole time, and something inside it has been waiting, watching, biding its time until Agatha was close enough, vulnerable enough, distracted enough. The question isn't whether Agatha got possessed. She clearly did. The question is, for how long? When did Corrosion slip in? Was it the moment they entered the crypt? Earlier? And what does Corrosion actually want with Zoe? Because it specifically didn't hurt her. It said, there has been a slight change in plans. It's keeping her around for a reason. This is the kind of twist that recontextualizes everything that came before it. Back in the dark dimension, the sound of hammering metal fills the tower. Tony Stark, Sorcerer Supreme of a broken reality, is at a forge, working with feverish intensity on a gauntlet. Magic is pacing. Are you almost done? You've been at this for hours. Tony doesn't look up. One can't rush perfection, Illyana. Besides, time moves differently here. That's exactly what we're worried about, she fires back, looming apocalypse and all. He sets the hammer down. There, this will do nicely. Magic eyes the gauntlet with open skepticism. Dark, strange, clearly forged with dimensional alloys she's never seen. Tony explains, the vision they all saw, the vapors of Voltor, the corrosive mists, the coming apocalypse, it doesn't get stopped by fighting Voltor in their world. You have to go through his realm, hit him at his source. And here's the problem. Voltor's realm is made of corrosive mist. Without protection, you'd last maybe 10 seconds before it dissolves you from the inside out. Tony holds up the gauntlet. The light catches the mystical alloys. So yes, you have to wear these to save your world. But just as importantly, They look damn good on you. And then we see the whole team with new drip forged by Tony. And not gonna lie, this scene looks really dope. That's where issue number 3 leaves us. What an epic cliffhanger. To recap today's madness, things have gone from bad to worse in New Orleans. Agatha Harkness has been completely overtaken by a dark entity from the Black Mirror. It looks like the age of corrosion is no longer just a prophecy. It's officially being ushered in by the very woman who was supposed to prevent it. In the dark dimension, the Sons managed to survive an ambush by the vampy children of Murk, only to discover their secret prisoner. The biggest reveal of the issue, the team has rescued a Tony Stark from a different reality where he holds the mantle of Sorcerer Supreme. He's already putting his arcane industrial complex skills to work, forging mystical battle armor for everyone that will allow the team to survive the corrosive realm of Veltor. The board is set for a massive interdimensional showdown. Can a magic Tony Stark help the Midnight Suns get home in time to save Zoe? Or is Agatha already too far gone? Issue 4 cannot come soon enough. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss my breakdown of issue 4. Leave a comment below. Who do you think makes a better Sorcerer Supreme? Stephen Strange or Tony Stark? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next dimension. Peace.